All right, what's up, guys? Good evening here on the East Coast. I'm your host, Brandon Troy, host and co creator of Movers and Shakers Unlimited. And as you well know, we are on the eve, I guess you can suppose you can say, of the event known as DC Fandome. But I will not be alone to talk about some of the exciting things to expect out of this show. I do have a guest host joining me, so give me 1 second while I introduce some more. So I want to welcome back fellow geek pundit, Mr. Jay Washington. What's going on, man? How you
Hey
doing?
man, I'm good, man. Thank you for having me again. Thank you for having me. I'm decent. I'm decent as decent can be throughout all these times and everything.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. So, like as I said, the purpose of today's show is to talk about the event that is now known as DC Fandom. Just to kind of like hit the ground running. I figured we would kind of do a previously on on this episode and talking about cons and how the con season has been affected by social distancing and everything that's been going out in the world. I know we were talking about at that time. We were talking about San Diego Comic Con at the time because I guess
Yeah.
it just been announced that it wasn't going to happen. So in that time, man, talk to me. What's been going on in terms of what you have experienced with virtual cons and that trend that we've been seeing.
It's been that in itself has been like super interesting because every con, of course, con season as a public thing is done, but it's just public is done. But virtually, it's been interesting. I've been a part of several of them, and doing panels and speaking with people and whatnot. It's I think there's a comfort for a lot of people to be able to have that sense of normalcy. Of course, there isn't the physical nature of it where we're all together, everybody, you're seeing people, you're taking pictures and getting autographs and things like that. But to still have that feel where people are talking to your favorite stars and celebrities and getting their insight on different things. And the fact that DC decided, hey, we're just going to make a virtual con in itself of all our properties is something surreal. But I'm glad also they had to learn we got way too much to try to cram it in 24 hours. You know what I'm saying? So they had to give it 2 dates. So it's been interesting. Like I said, these virtual cons have been you get used to them. They've been fun. I've enjoyed it. Everyone I've been a part of, I've had fun. It's just it's weird. It's not what we're used to, but it is interesting. It's still it's still the interactions.
I was gonna say, still in that regard, because I didn't even have a chance to honestly catch up. Things were crazy that week. How was your San Diego Comic Con? How was your Comic Con at home, and what did you take advantage of with what they had to offer?
Well, for me, I did. I think I just covered. I was back home in Chicago when it happened. So, granted, again, it's Comic Con at home and it's virtual, so all you need is your internet connection. I covered the New Mutants panel because, of course, everybody wanted to see what was going on with that. Because that was, for me, the really only thing. The boys thing I missed because I think I was busy at the time. But I think that's the only thing about it. It's like it's hard. You literally have to hunker down to schedule something if you're going to do it with these virtual ones. It isn't where you're like, okay, I gotta be in ballroom 20, or I gotta be in line for hall H, or I gotta go up to this room. It ain't one of those because you're there in that environment. And I'm speaking specifically about San Diego or any Comic-Con for that matter. You're like, all right, let me go here, there. When you're at home or wherever you're residing and you're just posted somewhere where you could, granted, it's not a lot to do because of a lot of closures in a lot of places, but you're still navigating regular life. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, okay, let me do this, but I didn't have any other real time to do anything else. And plus, Comic Con at home, it didn't have much that was appealing for me personally because all these other virtual cons were still going on. And the main things you go to San Diego for aren't there. Marvel has no presence, DC's not there. So if you're a Comic-Con, like if you really go, okay, cool, it's pop culture based, blah blah blah. But the two biggest things most people go for, it's not there, so it doesn't have much appeal.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying. I guess the thing that I found interesting, don't get me wrong, I was able to consume way more content than I normally would in my physical in the physical experience of Comic Con, but kind of addressing what you were saying of like everyday, day to day, mundane things that you do at home because you're at home. I was pausing a lot more, and it took me way longer to get through a lot of the programming when, in any other situation, I'm completely enthralled by everything that whatever piece of programming that I am taking in. So that dynamic was very interesting. I was like, gosh, wasn't I just watching this con like halfway in? How I think I paused it like maybe 3 or 4 times. How is it already nighttime and I'm still watching this panel?
You know what I think? And one of the things that got me too, not to interrupt, was I was reading on Twitter and social media, people were actually upset that a lot of these panels were pre-taped. And I'm like, why? Like, I guess because people wanted to have that thing of, oh, we got comments here and we got comments there. But what people forget is when you're doing these virtual ones at home, people are at home. Everybody does not live in the same place, let alone city, state, or country. So you're literally navigating all these schedules and finding one time that works for everybody. And when you got it, you got to lock it down and you got to record it. And plus, people have families. It's different. It's different when you pull them away from the family, when you take them to San Diego and you make they're there in an environment. It's a work environment there. But again, they're at home. You got people with kids in the background and they just try to tell the kids, shut the hell up for at least 25 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Or 25 minutes to an hour. So a lot of people, that was one of the things I saw. And I was like, yo, y'all just don't get it. Y'all just don't get it.
Yeah, man, I got you. But be that as it may, in doing this recap of the year thus far, let's hop right into it. As I said, we were talking about DC Fandome. We are on the eve, so to speak, of that show. The thing that I find interesting about this show, and I commented on it before in talking with some other fellow folks in the industry, is just talking about two things. One, the idea, that concept of exclusivity, and the fact that a lot of you're seeing a lot of not just DC, Marvel branching off and doing their own niche con because you want to. I feel that they're still trying to recapture that idea of exclusivity. Because let's be real, if you're at San Diego Comic-Con, there's so many. I think barrier is too strong of a word, but there's so many steps that they understand that attendees are going through in order to be able to be an attendee at that show, that uh, there you still have that element of exclusivity. You have that element of, okay, the attendee went through all this red tape of a lottery system to get their ticket. Okay, they did that. They waited in line overnight and camped out and halt with a line for Hall H. They did that. So we're going to reward those that are really going to go above and beyond to check out the content that we have to provide, which is, I feel, played into why we saw that break from San Diego Comic-Con in that regard. And then the thing that I also find interesting too is, I don't know if you noticed this, and I brought this up as well, is the idea of how they have divvied up the programming in and of itself based on what type of medium it is, where you have the Hall of Heroes, and I was joking with somebody. I was like, okay, so Hall of Heroes is basically Hall H, because it's all of their film properties that they have. I don't know if you even if
I didn't get a chance to really look at it that way, but once I started realizing, like, but it's smart. But again, I think the worry becomes, the biggest worry now. It starts because this is simple. This is simple to do in technical terms. To make a virtual con to just show you stuff on a screen is simple to do, right? All we got to do is put a link up to DC Fandome or to YouTube or whatever and stream from there. We have everybody come in on a Zoom call or a StreamYard. Boom. That aspect is so easy. Now, the thing is, when you have the feedback, when con season can happen next year, hopefully, right? Do you go back to everybody being there? If you're DC, and let's say Fandome goes off again, it's the first time, so nothing goes off without a hitch fully first time. But this becomes such a big deal. Do you A, do it again, or B, go back to San Diego, or C, go from virtual to physical now?
Yeah, definitely. It'll be interesting to see if, like you said, it becomes its own separate thing, or if they find a way to hybridize it where they kind of get the best of both worlds. Where, I mean, let's be honest, the last couple of years where we've had all these instances of content getting out of Hall H, so trailers dropping and all types of other things that they warn, that they tell attendees again and again, please do not pirate or record this, but it ends up happening anyway. Perhaps that will be their method in kind of shuffling out any of the content that comes out of those panels, and maybe they can make it as like a paid service to
see, that's where if they do, see, that's where the issue is going to come in, because I was thinking about that too. Like, eventually you're going to pay for it, but that'll be the issue. But at the same time, the art people be like, well, why should I pay for this? Why should I pay? Blah 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 blah. The argument becomes, you'd pay for a ticket to San Diego Comic-Con. That's the only way you get in these panels. You don't have a ticket, you don't go, right? Most times anyway, whatever is streamed, very, very rarely, whatever is streamed or shown, screened in Hall H, goes out to the public anyway. I'll never forget, what was it, like 2-3 years ago with the Justice League trailer. The big deal was it being in Hall H.
That trailer was up within moments.
Well, no, they put it on the main floor at the same time.
Yeah.
So it was like everybody was trying to clamor to get in the Hall H. We're like, I got to see the Justice League trailer first, which I understand. But then they played it at the exact same time over everything in over the whole DC thing in Hall H, which made a massive traffic jam. And so it's one of those like, well, what was the deal? If you rushed to the Hall H, was it wasted, or is it just the experience? But again, like you say, immediately afterwards, once it airs, it's already hit publish on the Warner Brothers YouTube to go.
And vice versa.
Scheduled.
For a lot of
it's already scheduled to go.
Yeah. But I mean, the thing that's also interesting in that regard too is there is something to be said about physically being there. There are spontaneous moments that you can't really do in that regard if you're doing it virtually. So I feel that is the main thing that any given convention has going forward, is that you have those unscripted moments that you can never construct or make in taping something ahead of time. So there is that.
Yeah, that's true.
So with that in mind, Jay, in terms of the programming that we have, as I was mentioning before, we have a lot of the programming. It seems to be organized in such a way based on mediums. Have you taken a look at the what the show has to offer, and if so, what are you most excited about checking out? What is your quote unquote itinerary for DC fans?
For me, quite honestly, it's mainly going to be the films, because it's mainly. I don't think we're getting anything of the TV shows yet. I think that might be the second half when they do it in September, but it's just the films really. Again, all the other dope the ideas where they have the comic book artists and everything, just like at a Comic-Con. There's some things that just like I'm a fan of comic books, but I'm not one of those people who's like I have to have such and such's run to see such and such's art. Like if it's a comic book run, I just want to read it. That's how I am, if that makes sense. But for me, it's the trailers, because what we're finally gonna see. I've always been one of these people to like, yo, behind the scenes footage is cool when we get these little pics, but at the same time, I kind of don't want to see it because it's gonna change.
It
What
ruins
I
the
see,
magic of that. Yeah, I've
yeah,
seen
because
that.
what I see after this, just after somebody did this, is gonna look completely different, shot in damn near
In the
8K.
context.
You know,
Yep.
and right, shot at 8K in context. So for me, it's finally see, I just want to know. I think the biggest thing out of all of this for me, out of everything, what is the purpose of the Black Adam one besides showing us Dwayne Johnson standing in the suit and that's it? Because that's all this Black Adam one can be. It's
Well,
literally
I
just showing
mean,
us him in his DC in his actually made Black Adam suit.
apparently, from what I understand, I kind of breezed through a lot of information. That I guess there is a possibility that we may see Hawkman in there. So,
Well,
uh,
yeah, we'll probably get the announcement of that. I think that's the thing. The announcement because you have to have Hawkman with it. You're gonna get Noah Cilantanio, whatever I can't pronounce his last name, but you're gonna get him, and there's probably one more. I think that's gonna be the big thing. The question of who's playing Hawkman is what's gonna really get everybody because it's nobody. There's no guesses. There's
yeah,
no guesses. So
yeah.
I think it's that figuring out with Black Adam, Shazam too. Figuring out what are we still going to go with Mr. Mind, with the caterpillar? Are we going to go from that? Are we going to build on that? Um, the Batman, everybody wants the trailer. Also the Suicide Squad.
Oh,
I
I'm so excited for that. Oh man,
because I
that
want
is
to because
that is the
again,
film I'm
James
most
Gunn
excited for.
has said nobody has officially guessed who Idris Elba is playing, which means Idris Elba is possibly Lex Luthor, as I'd like to say, Condiment King, Kite Man, or Bane. Because we keep thinking things like Bronze Tiger and all these other people, they might have did something where they race switched and he's somebody. Because if Idris Elba is Lex Luthor, that would change the game.
I was gonna say it'll be interesting as much prior to everything that happened with what ended up transpiring with Justice League. I remember, if you recall, a few years ago, there was all this social media posts between The Rock and Henry Cavill of them being in posts together and talking about the possibility of like Superman and Black Adam. So I'll be interested to see if they ever decide that they're actually going to follow through and execute on that. So.
Well, Henry Cavill signed on to appear in movies. He is not signed on to be Superman for another movie, so that might actually come to fruition.
We will see. We will see. Especially with apparently there is a programming piece in there that is not completely announced, and they haven't gotten into details with. So there's been a lot of speculation that we may get some major news in that regard. Hopefully so. Hopefully.
I mean, it's weird because we're getting something because of all the casting announcements, everything that's revved up behind Flashpoint now, the announcement of Affleck coming back. We're getting something, but it can't the piece de resistance is not the Snyder Cut trailer. It's just because it's what people want to see, but that can't be that one thing that DC Fandome has out of all these movies that's going to be the one that pops. You know what I'm saying? It's something, and it's got to be that. It's got to be something that's going to make everybody go, "Oh my god!" They've got to have that. And I think the fact that there is no clue yet, really, there's no real hints. It's like something could be happening. We don't know. And so I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, definitely. And comment further on one of our viewers, Terry. Hello, Terry. Yes, I am looking forward to the Batman as well. But I have to say, Suicide Squad is my number one. That is what I am most and seeing. What the style is going to look like, what the aesthetic is going to be like in that particular film.
Well, and then think about it. You got James Gunn bringing back a lot of the members from the original Suicide Squad movie to go into
Right.
this new squad. And again, it's James Gunn, the dude who made us love a talking tree and a talking raccoon. No, you know, people can say a whole bunch of things. This man made the world love a talk. The world cried when a tree said, "I am Groot," and disappeared. The world cried. I want to see, and he has again when he caught the hell from the tweets back in the day. He has that mindset. He knows how to be like demented. If you've ever watched Super and things like that, anything he's a
Slither,
part of,
Slither,
Velcro experiment, all these different things,
yeah,
Brightburn.
yeah,
He knows how to give us this, and so Guardians is this lighter version where he gets to have fun with the Suicide Squad.
definitely, man. So as you say, you are looking most forward to the films. Are there any additional pieces of programming that you saw that kind of piqued your interest, like in terms of what we had? I guess they have some additional elements that deal with like cinematography, editing.
Some of
Uh,
those things they interest me, yeah, but not as I guess for me personally, like I pay attention to them when I watch the project. I
mhm.
don't, I'm not one of those aficionados where I have to sit back and watch the mind of a cinematographer, the mind of an editor and whatnot. I'm waiting on the shows because I need to hear announcements of renewals for certain shows. I need to hear that Doom Patrol has its three. I need to hear that Harley Quinn has its three. You know what I'm saying? I need
Please,
to I need to hear these things. And so that's that, that I want to see Javicia Leslie in the suit. I want to see her in the suit because I want to know if we're gonna say the hell with that wig. We're gonna do a different type of red wig. You know what I'm saying? Like I want to see what they're gonna do with it. So the TV aspect, again, they just are getting ready to go back to filming in Vancouver. In Vancouver. Atlanta, they can film. It's no telling if they have started filming. Because Atlanta is where Stargirl films, Doom Patrol, Black Lightning. Those are the ones I know in Atlanta. So I don't think Lightning has gone. I know for a fact Black Lightning has not gone back yet. So to see what we get, because last year I remember the year we got for season 2 of Black Lightning at Comic-Con, we got a highlight reel of season 1. So it was like, if that's the reminder to hype you up, yes. But if you're expecting to see something, you don't get that. You know what I'm saying? So
no, I got you. So with all that being said, talking about how our season started, going into things that are exciting about DC fandom, we touched on it and previewed it a bit a little earlier and talking about what the ripples are. But are there any other foreseen ripples that you are curious to see may come to fruition based on everything that we've gotten this year with these virtual cons?
what do you mean exactly by ripples?
So ripples in the idea that talking about whether DC or Marvel may continue forward and come into future Comic Cons, or maybe they'll just do signings and not have panels anymore. Just in terms of the approaches that we'll see with a lot of
Well,
companies. So
I think so. Again, this can go so many different ways because there's this beauty now that being able to have your own. There's this beauty being able to do your own. But San Diego Comic-Con does one thing that no matter what company you are, you love it. It's free press. You have a panel, everybody's watching this panel because they want to know what surprising thing may they tell you about or who they may show you. So that's something you'll always get. No matter what, no matter where it's at, there's always somebody in that crowd that's tweeting live, that's typing on a laptop or a tablet. So the ripple will be, will they hold this and say, we're going to do, again, they're doing 2. We can't say anything until after the second half is done. The first half, what the first half will do is work out any kinks for the second half, if they have any. Because also, they have to be sure they can contain the amount of viewers that want to watch. Because you got a bunch of people about to stream in this again tomorrow. You finna get this this Snyder Cut thing. You're gonna get this Batman trailer, the Suicide Squad trailer, this Wonder Woman 84 second trailer we've all been waiting on. You finna have people
With
think it's
Cheetah, hopefully, with Cheetah like in
the
action,
actual
hopefully.
transformation, right? So you gotta hope that you don't break the internet, for lack of better words, because I've said this since the beginning of quarantine and the pandemic. The internet was never meant to hold this many people being active at the same time. The beautiful thing about the internet, the reason it flowed the way it did is because people were all on different times. People would be consistently on the internet, but not everybody together at one time, which was slowing down everybody's speeds. This is going to have people streaming consistently because I don't care who, you ain't even got to be a fan. You gonna check this out.
Yeah, definitely. I guess the other caveat to that too, though, is, and I've brought this up, but the what in attracting all of these new potential viewers and fans to get an idea of what it's like to come to a lot of these shows or attend a lot of these shows. Mind you, it's going to be a different experience physically, but still to get a taste of it, it'll be interesting because they may or may not be able to go physically based on not just because of the ripples of what happened this year and constant carryover to future years, but also uh, whether they even have a opportunity just to get to some of these niche shows as well. So like in the case of San Diego, with a lot of the transfers that are happening, and how far that's going to carry over going forward.
Well, now that New York is New York is officially done.
Yeah,
and that's
they're
October.
doing virtual. Yeah, but they're doing virtual.
So all the main ones are done. San Diego's done. New York's done. Dragon Con started to grow. Emerald City started to grow. Done.
Well, I'm saying hypothetically, should we be back to normal come next year? I'm just saying the idea of those who didn't go this year are transferred to next year, and those folks that would have, applied or attempted based on observing the virtual edition, trying to go the next year, are already snuffed out because they're dealing with the transfers from the year prior.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be very interesting to see. Again, this year changes a lot, and a lot of people will say it's changing a lot because of how we interact and whatnot. And that's one thing, but when it comes to business, because now people have found another way of doing it. I do not have to worry about trying to stand in the heat for a day and a half to get a ticket to hopefully get a seat to sit in for an hour. I can set my alarm on my phone. Next thing set up my TV because I can put it up to whatever and just watch it, and I'm good. You got to convince people next year, no matter who you are, that this was fun to do for the moment, but
we got something for you. You better come.
You better come.
So, but in capping it off there, Jay, thanks so much, man, for coming on and talking about DC Fandome with me. Before I let you go, man, as always, can you tell folks where they can find you?
Yes, absolutely. Twitter, Instagram at Mr. J Washington is down below. My YouTube channel, youtube.com/JAY-Washington80. Blurs in the Hood every Tuesday, myself and Winston A. Marshall, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. on the East Coast. I think that's about and at the Blurred and Bougie virtual after party tomorrow, being DJ'd by D Nice, because damn it, my birthday's on Tuesday, so I'm kicking it off all weekend. Like I'm black, so listen, we don't celebrate one day. Look, the Rona, she took away. I can't do hood rat stuff with my friends, so I'm doing all the ratchet stuff virtually. Look.
So with that being said, guys, thanks so much for watching. As always, as you know, I'm your host, Brandon Choi, host and co-creator of Movies and Shakers Unlimited. You can find us on Facebook, as always, which you're watching now, enjoying now. However, you can also find us on Twitter at Move and Shake UNLTD. You can find us on Instagram at Movers Shakers Unlimited. You can find me, of course, Brandon Troy ENT on Twitter and Brandon Troy _ENT on Instagram. We do have one more show happening tonight, so keep it locked. Otherwise, everyone else out there, thanks so much for watching. Be safe out there, and I'll see you soon. Bye.